In this video I'm going to show you how you can use PRAAT to make estimates of formant values. I'm going to do this by showing you how to do it from the recordings by Daniel Jones of his cardinal vowels. So I have that file here in my PRAAT objects window. I'm going to view and edit it, and just to show you that I have got the right file, I'm going to play it. Now we're going to look at one vowel at a time, and we'll start, I think, with cardinal vowel 3, so that's this one. I will select that, and as you can see, it's got formant structure, and because he's saying this on what for him is a fairly high pitch, you can also see some of the harmonic structure in the spectrogram. So it's not actually terribly easy to distinguish all of the formants. Particularly, it's quite hard to separate the second and the third formants just by looking. Well, PRAAT gives you a couple of methods for estimating formant values, and I'm going to show you one of these. The simplest way to do it is to go up to the formant menu at the top, and where it says show formants, select that. And you can see that what PRAAT has done now is to overlay red dots on what it thinks are the peaks of the formants. Notice that those red dots sit in the middle of the broad bands, the formants, on the spectrogram. If I just take them away, you'll see that the formants are actually fairly broad, but the peak, of course, is at the top or the middle. As if you imagine looking down on a spectrogram, the peak is in the middle of the band or at the top of the spectrum. So the other thing that you'll see now when you look at this is that these formant estimates are not actually straight lines. They're somewhat wiggly, and if you just place the cursor, let's say, it's easiest if we do it on F2, you can see that the F2 estimate actually wiggles a line around the horizontal line, which is where the cursor is. Now, to find out where PRAAT thinks these estimates are more precisely, there's a couple of methods. One is to go formant and then get the first formant here. So it thinks that the first formant is at 539.17 hertz. Go second, get the second formant, which it thinks is 1903 hertz, and so on. And we can query for a certain number of formants. The other method, excuse me, is to get the formant listing here. And this produces an extra little window where it's a column with, it's like a table with some columns and numbers. So the first value is the time, so the time 5.1 seconds into the audio file. Then we've got F1 there, 5.39 hertz, F2, 1903 hertz, F3, 2383 hertz, and so forth. Now, if you're going to get estimates of formant values, you need to take into account the fact that PRAAT is only making estimates, and these numbers are not precisely accurate. And the best way to do that is to make a number of measurements, let's say 3 or 4 measurements at least, through what looks like the stable part of the vowel. So you don't want to take estimates from the very beginning. If you look here, you see that PRAAT does not really find F2 and F3 at the beginning, and if you look at the end, likewise, you can see PRAAT's estimates of the formant values are not very good. So you want to take estimates from the stable part of the vowel, and we're lucky here because we've got Daniel Jones keeping the same articulation for quite a long time. So you can take samples from a number of places. You might want to take, as I said, 3 or 4 samples, and then what you would do is take an average. So take an average of all the F1 values that you calculate or record, take an average of all the F2 values that you record and an average of all the F3 values that you record, and so on. So that's the simplest way to get formant measurements, formant estimates from PRAAT.